Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at the Boston Red Sox and their top 10 prospects, different stats to rank them, and how I will rank them based off their MLB potential. So, I made my own rankings for the top 10 Red Sox prospects and gave my reasonings. And as you can see, number one overall, Marcelo Mayer. He's pretty much everyone's number one overall pick, and he was the fourth overall pick in the 2021 draft after a terrible 2020 Sox season. But I was not complaining too much anymore after we got him. He was a lot of people had him as the best player in the draft, but other teams like the Pirates with Henry Davis or the Rangers with Jack Leiter and Jackson Jobe for the Tigers, they were kind of picking off position, which isn't too rare in baseball, but not nearly as important. We obviously had Xander Bogaerts at the time, one of the best shortstops in baseball. But the way the minor league system works, obviously, it's going to take him a few years. And as you know, look at that, Xander's already gone. And so there's a lot to look at in the graphic, but I'll break down the first one, and then we can go from there. So if you look on the left, you can see the three dots. He's in the third highest tier, the top being MLB, AAA, AA, High A, Single A, and then Rookie Ball at the bottom. And the Greenville Drive is the High A Red Sox team. And the stats displayed are the 2023 season stats, where he has been electric this season. He's only been better. And in the next few weeks, we're going to see him in Portland. He's destined to be there, and it's really a test of hitters, is AA pitching. That's always been a fact. But he's lit up Single A, Advanced A pitching. He's ready for the jump. And then below that, ETA, estimated time arrival to the MLB, 2024. I think even though he's only in High A, I could see him in Portland in 2 weeks probably. And then next season I almost said Pawtucket and Worcester. And then end of next season, I could definitely see him with the Red Sox, depending on how the progress goes, but could be another year or two. But so you can see his strengths and weaknesses, where hitting ability is fantastic. His defense is good enough for the position. His weaknesses, he's not as athletic, not too fast, but it doesn't matter too much at shortstop. But his strikeout rate is a little high, but his hitting's only gotten better. And he did have a 25% strikeout rate in his first two pro seasons. But he has good pitch recognition, good IQ up to the plate, and a great approach. And he is bigger than most shortstops, 6'2". So he will have a good MLB potential. It's just a matter of when he can get there and how fast he can. And my pro comp for him is Corey Seager. And now the second best prospect, also pretty much consensus, is Cedanne Rafaela. He has been absolutely electric for Portland the last year and a half. And as recording this in the last week, he had a 7-steal game yesterday, which is absurd. And he was always undersized. He was 4'9" in the Little League World Series, but he's 5'9" now, 152. He's 22, but in AA already, and we got him in the 2017 as an international free agent. But he's been a Boston minor league defensive player of the year the last 2 seasons in a row. He's an amazing defensive player, and there's just a gold glove just waiting for him to grab it, just like all the balls that come to him in the outfield. But he can play center field, he can play shortstop. He's so athletic. His defense is amazing. And ETA also 2024. The only thing he has to worry about is his hitting numbers, but his defense is absolutely perfect already. I could see him in Boston in the next 2 seasons, including this one. But his, obviously, physicality is a little low, a little lacking for a smaller guy, but his hitting stats aren't amazing. We're going to see that later, but he's getting on base. He's moving around the bases. He's scoring runs, what you want to see. And despite his lack of physicality, he still produces pretty good power for a quick, deceptive right-handed swing and a super aggressive approach at the plate. Not a bad thing for a young guy. You got to be aggressive, or for a smaller guy, I meant to say. And everyone's been raving about his swing, reminiscent of a Mookie Betts, a former Sea Dog, and himself, also an infielder/outfielder. He's an amazing runner, high IQ. In my opinion, the most electric Red Sox prospect, and I cannot wait to see his progress. And as you can see, my third ranked player is Miguel Bleis. He has been amazing for Salem Red Sox. He's a pretty similar guy to Cedanne Rafaela, but climbed up the Red Sox prospect rankings last year. He's going right through the pipeline. He's going to be in Boston 2026, as I predicted, but he's moving his way up there. He's been also amazing defensively, super fast, athletic guy, and great hitting power for a slightly underweight, undersized type of player, but so much potential with him. He's had pretty great hitting numbers, honestly, and he's kind of like Rafaela, but his hitting is a little more powerful, a little more safe and conservative, but I had to put the non-applicable to the weaknesses because he has been so good in every aspect this year. I know the 250, the splits look deceiving, but he's been great. He's going to continue to work on that. He's going to get better, and he could be a star player for the Red Sox in the next few years. He's super exciting. I hope we can see a Bleis and Rafaela outfield for the Red Sox in the next few years, but so much optimism with him. Super excited, and I had to compare him to Michael Harris Jr. or Michael Harris II on the Braves, another athletic outfielder with great hitting numbers who can do a lot of damage on offense and defense. And now another Red Sox shortstop, this time Mikey Romero, drafted as another first-round pick the year after Marcelo Mayer, who was actually a high school teammate and friend of his, and they played some type of ball, maybe some Babe Ruth or some type of baseball together, but they're close with each other. Same position, but once again, baseball, it doesn't really matter. Maybe in basketball or football, you wouldn't see two first-round picks on the same position back-to-back years, but it won't matter in baseball. At the very worst, they both get to the Red Sox and they play third base and shortstop or second and short or DH, however it goes. Mikey Romero is a little less good on the defensive end, but his hitting is amazing. His splits, as you can see, are amazing, and he's only been getting better. For Salem, he's younger. He's only 19, a little smaller than Mayer, not as oversized for the position, but he has decent defense, but not great arm strength at shortstop. He might be the one to move to second if they both move up. But his hitting is amazing. His approach at the plate is amazing. He has the best bat-to-ball skills out of anyone in his draft class in 2022. And you can see the splits. You can see how great he's hitting. And the comparison was a little harder for Mikey. I gave Tommy Edman, who's a pretty good contact hitter, similar power numbers, but not too wild, not the best defensively, and a guy that can switch on either side of second base. So, exciting prospect there for Mikey Romero, another promising player and a first-round draft pick for the team. And next up on the list is Nick Yorke, the Sea Dog second baseman. And originally, I did have him a lot lower. He had a bad year last year, struggling with a ton of injuries, batting only .231 last year. Bad numbers. I wasn't really high on him. He's not exactly athletic at second base. He's definitely built into his frame, which is good for power, so not the worst thing, but not the best defensive guy, and his hitting splits were pretty abysmal last year, so I was not really loving him, but another first-round draft pick, this time from 2020, but honestly, I'm very impressed with what he's been doing recently for Sea Dogs. He's been amazing. The Red Sox got him for kind of a lower contract for a first-round pick in 2020 with Bloom picking, but he's been amazing hitting-wise, and once again, as I said earlier, Double-A pitching is where you find out if you really have that major league hitting talent, and he does. He's not the most athletic guy, not really fast or too athletic on the defensive end, but he has great hitting power. You don't really need it. I compared him to Adam Frazier, not a super athletic guy, but he can be reliable when you need hits. You need power, a good mix of power and contact. He's a great right-handed swing. He can recognize pitches, and definitely a guy that can go up to the majors and hit 20 home runs a year for sure for the team. So excited for his future. He's been climbing up my rankings. I had him almost outside the top 10, but now he's all the way up to 5 because how impressive this season has been. And ETA 2025, I could see it. I don't know. He might get promoted this year depending on his success and the guys at AAA, but like Valdez is in the majors right now, so we'll see with all that. But an exciting prospect to look out for in the future. And now our first pitching prospect for the Red Sox is Bryan Mata. He's been on the team for a long time now. He's been in the system for a long time now. 2016. The Brewers originally drafted him 2015, but he had some injuries, so we picked him up for a lot cheaper. He's had a ton of injuries, but he was so young. He was one of the youngest pitchers in 2016 when we got him. You can do the math on that. I won't. And he's just been young and still progressing. His numbers have never really been amazing at any level, but his age has been he's always been underage no matter what level he's at. So take the numbers. You can take it for granted or grant it, but it's still an impressive thing for him. You can see with Worcester this year, 5.61 ERA, 2.06 WHIP, and it really isn't too showing of his actual performances. He's been good. I compared him to Manoah partly because they're both big guys on the mound, which I like to see. 6'3", 238. Manoah's even bigger. But I love his power on the mound. He has a powerful pitching. Just the way he pitches is very powerful. He has a nice four-seam fastball, can get it fast. He can throw gas, probably 100 miles an hour. He can definitely reach up there on the four-seam and the two-seam with a lot of sink and a lot of tail. He has great breaking balls, but his command is his main problems, along with his injury history. He is a big guy. He's had Tommy John surgeries. He lost 2 years to the pandemic, just like a lot of other guys, obviously. But he has great breaking balls. He throws gas. Great prospect, but I'm not a huge fan of ranking pitching prospects as high as they could be. You could argue he could be higher. He's pretty close to the majors, but I don't love it because things can go from so well to so terrible really fast. So that's why I have him at 6. And next up, another starting pitcher, Brandon Walter. And obviously he's listed as a starter, but as you know, with baseball pitching prospects, the more they move up, he could easily become a bullpen guy, a long relief guy, middle relief guy. We'll see how it goes. I could easily see him slotting into our bullpen this year with guys like Winkowski. Well, Winkowski's been amazing this year, but we have a lot of fringe guys like Pavetta, more guys like that, who not exactly starters, not exactly bullpen guys, right in the middle. I hope to God Brazier's off the team by then. I would DFA Brazier right now for Walter to be on the major league team, but that's the way she goes. He is 26 already, so that age is a problem. And another pitcher with Tommy John problems when he was younger in college, but he's still a 26th-round pick. The pandemic, it hurt Bryan Mata a lot. It has been amazing for Walter. He was a guy, I think he was in Salem, maybe Greenville at the best. Kind of struggling, not really. He had a low 90s fastball. Comes back from the pandemic, high 90s fastball. Great command, great delivery, and just being a lights-out pitcher. Obviously, the numbers, once again, just like Mata, haven't been amazing for Worcester, but he's been lights out up until now, and he's adjusting to that AAA ball. But through his age 25 season, only 180 innings, which is insane for a 26-year-old with all of his injuries in the past. But I'm very impressed by his delivery. He is a lefty, so that's definitely interesting. And he throws exactly like David Price. I was trying to find with pitcher comparisons. It's harder with pitchers. That's why I kind of had to default to another big guy with Manoah. But I'm pretty proud of David Price. I was thinking of Sale, but I couldn't do it. He's not big enough. Doesn't have that arm slot Sale does. He's pretty similar to David Price. Could be that starter that David Price was. Could be the bullpen guy that David Price was. Could win a ring with us, just like David Price. We'll see how his pro career goes, but I love Brandon Walter, love his pitching. Hope he can stay healthy, but a guy you can all keep your eyes on. And now coming in at number 8 is Eddinson Paulino. 20-year-old utility guy. He can play anywhere on the field coming from the Dominican Republic. He's been amazing defensively, but to be honest, his hitting is not very impressive to me. He led the Single A Carolina League, with doubles, triples, extra base hits, total bases. Super impressive, but moving up to Greenville, he's not been as good. He was batting 150 when I started, up to 237 now, so that's promising, but he's an undersized, small guy, not physical, but I know you don't need all that. He can play shortstop, he can play second, he can play in the outfield. He doesn't have a great arm. He doesn't have great hitting numbers. But he is a quick, athletic guy, which is what you want to see. So I saw Xander in him defensively, but Xander wasn't the best defensively. But he kind of reminds me, he has the same aura as Xander Bogaerts. Hitting is not even close. He has to work on the hitting a lot. He's a similar contact hitter to, I think Espinal is the best comparison I could find in all the majors. A utility guy just like him. Anywhere, kind of a left side of the infield guy. Definitely can play second, can slot in the outfield. Not the best contact hitter, not best hitting numbers in general, but he can still progress, he can still improve. Only 20, another international free agent. He's really ranked this high for me, number 8, for his defensive and versatility numbers, where he can play anywhere on the diamond. But his hitting, he's got to work on that, got to improve, but super exciting, promising player. And coming in at number 9, outfielder Roman Anthony. Still young, a 2022, our second round draft pick, and he's been super impressive recently. He's been working his way through the minors, but a lot of hitting power, way more than I thought for an outfielder. He's not the biggest guy, but definitely has a solid frame. And he doesn't have a great plate approach. He swings for the fences, but nothing wrong with that, obviously. Hitting stats are still not bad, and he had a great high school career in Florida at Stoneman Douglas, and he helped them to state titles. He was the Florida High School Player of the Year, and he's been super impressive offensively with his power. His defense, not amazing. He's still an athletic guy, but he's got to work on the arm and the defense. Plate approach, not amazing, but I'm still impressed with his power, and I compared him to Mike Yastrzemski, Red Sox legend. Oh, almost Red Sox legend. Relative to Red Sox legend, but maybe he can be like the other Yastrzemski over Mike, but nothing wrong with Mike. Just, everyday outfielder, decent hitting numbers, can hit 20 bombs a year, but never is going to hit 300. Still, he could definitely move his way up the system. And another guy that really just got to keep an eye on. A lot of things could happen with his career. He's only 18. He's only in Salem, but it all depends on that plate approach, if he can move those batting stats up, because he has the power to work in the majors at Fenway. And coming in at number 10 is Emmanuel Valdez. We got him in the Christian Vasquez trade with Weiler Abreu, who's also been amazing in the meantime. But Valdez is lower on other prospect rankings. I have him at number 10. He's 17, 19, 12 in other websites, but I'm super high on him. He's in the majors now, obviously, but mostly a Worcester guy, as we've had injuries to Arroyo and Trevor Story, obviously. But 5'8", slightly undersized, but definitely filling out his frame. And he's super impressive to me offensively. Great power. He's already hit his first bomb with the Sox at Fenway. I love Valdez. His defense, it's not very good, but he's working on it. Articles are coming out. He's working hard on the defense, but already I'm pretty sure him and Kike were like the worst defensive players in MLB. I think Kike's in first right now, but Valdez was up there with him. He's had errors, but he's working on it. He works hard. I just love his hitting. He's electric at the plate. I like his approach. I like his swing. Good contact numbers. He's been hitting 300 to 400 for the entirety of the season so far, so that's super exciting. Obviously, the defense isn't great, but you can see the splits there. Great power, great discipline. His pitching against lefties is not great. It's very, very bad, some would say. But I still like Valdez. Platoon him against righties. I think he's good enough for the team. He reminds me of UMaine product Jeremy Pena, World Series MVP, so take of that what you will. But they both similar frames, can play most, middle infield spots. Not the best defensively. Pena had way more errors than I thought. Not as good defensively as I thought he was. But still great offense numbers for both of them. So I'm excited to see how he'll pan out. I think we won the trade, that's for sure. Vasquez is on the Twins now, not really doing too much. Batting .219, I think, low 200s. And Valdez is batting low 300s. So I'll take that. He's 24. He's working his way up there. He should be around the majors by now at 24. So I hope he can stay up. I don't see too much value in guys like Arroyo when we have younger guys like Valdez, cheaper. I do love Arroyo, though, but I'd rather be promoting prospects than working with these guys. So we'll see how it goes with his hitting numbers, but he's been amazing so far. And so those are the top 10 prospects. And now you can see here a quick little graph. We're just going to start to dive deeper into these guys, what makes them good, and what can help them to be MLB potential players for the Boston Red Sox. And so you can see the graph, top right corner, young and developed, old and developed, is running on the x-axis. You can see MLB down to rookie ball. It's your level of play where you are playing ball. And then the y-axis goes from the younger guys at the top to the older guys on the bottom. And so it's showing the value in your youth, your age, and then what level you are. And there's a line in the middle. And it's showing the guys over the line, as you can see. Nick Yorke and Valdez, who who are on the young and developed side, where Valdez is in the majors already and still only 24, while Brandon Walters, a pretty obvious standout at 26, still in AAA. But you can see the progression. There's only one MLB guy on my top 10, which is Valdez, obviously, and Bryan Mata is still young for the AAA starting pitcher spot. Yorke and Rafaela still right on track, and then everyone else at the bottom still on track. And it shows their natural progression as they get a year older. Hopefully they can move up. Obviously, Walter did not benefit from having 2 years off and being not very good before the pandemic. But Walter should be moving over to the MLB soon. But this is just showing what's valuing prospects, where age is an important factor whether you like it or not. There's a reason there's no 27-year-olds playing rookie ball. It's part of the reason guys get cut even if you're good. If you're old, that's the way it goes. You lose some and you lose some. And so it's the value of age is still an important thing for pipelines and ranking prospects and how they can impact the MLB roster. And here's the main way I love to rank prospects. You're going to see my stats soon, but it's the Moneyball method. The Heim-Bloom method, you get on base. The way I see it, if you get on base, you can steal some bases, you can get advanced by other guys, and you can score some runs. As Billy Beane would put it, because he gets on base, as you can see.
He's a defensive liability, and I question whether the bat speed's still there.
His legs are gone.
Great.
We'll be lucky to get 60 games out of him. Why do you like him?
Because he gets on base.
So before my stats, I'm going to be explaining the stats I value the most and what I think will contribute to a higher MLB potential for these prospects. So I will only be ranking the 8 batting prospects because the pitchers, obviously, none of these hitting stats apply to them. There's DHs across the league. But we'll be going through these 5 that I value a lot for hitters. First one, BABIP, B-A-B-I-P, is the batting average, as you can tell. And then it only values the batting average that you put the balls in play for. So it's the balls that you put in play, not including home runs, how you hit off those. It's basically measuring the quality of hits. If you're hitting bloopers, if you're hitting groundouts, or the higher numbers are guys that have good quality hits. And then below that, OBP is on base percentage. And it's simple as that. It's how frequently your runner gets on base. It's taking your walks, getting your singles, your bunts. I just value getting on base a lot. And then WOBA is tied into on base percentage, but it's a weighted on base percentage number that values how a runner got on base. And so obviously doubles are worth more than singles, home runs are worth more than triples, and it values the quality of your hits. If you're getting walked a lot, obviously a triple is better than a walk, but you can still steal some bags. And then below that is WRC plus, which is your weighted, which is the W, runs created, and then the plus is pretty much adjusting it out of a 100-point scale, where 100 is the average, 50 is pretty bad, and 150 is pretty good. And so it's weighted by external variables like the stadium. If you're at a Mickey Mouse Stadium, a minor league stadium like Yankee Stadium, where they let guys hit to the short porch all day long, that's the way she goes. Or a real man stadium like Fenway Park, where you have the Green Monster and the Triangle and a real field out there. So, and it also values the time period, where Babe Ruth was hitting a lot of bombs, but some would argue the quality of the league was not as good back then. They didn't have the 100-mile-an-hour splitters back then, which they do now. So I think that's fair to account for that. And then the bottom number is the K percentage, or the K rate, which is the frequency of a hitter striking out divided by their total plate appearances, not by their at-bats. And I think that's valuable because if you are striking out a lot, you're not putting the ball in play. Obviously, it doesn't value getting hits, getting walks. It just values not striking out, which I think is important because you can't do anything. When you go up there and strike out, it's just a lost at-bat. It's a lost plate appearance, and you don't contribute to your team at all. And so, as you can see on the top here, I have the 8 hitting prospects, and I believe, they are in order from AAA down to Single A. And so, the 5 stats I just mentioned are on the left, and the actual numbers are on the right. And the yellow is the medium guys, and the green is the 2 best, and the red is the 2 worst at their position. And I'll be explaining this all more later as I go, but pretty much I'm using these stats to account what I think is valuable for MLB potential. Because if a guy is hitting .400 in single A, but he's never hit anything above a single. Obviously, that's not going to pan out MLB-wise, so it's showing the value in your system, obviously, where if you look at these numbers, where Roman Anthony, 283, it's actually not great. I'll do Bleis as another example. 338, it's pretty good, but he is at Salem still, so where Valdez is pretty similar with the Red Sox, so you have to take their age and what team they're on for the examples, but as you can see, the first batting average balls in play, Marcelo Mayer and Mikey Romero sweep it, the two shortstops. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the quality of hits you're getting, where Anthony and Paulino have the lowest, 283 and 270. That's pretty much saying that the balls they're hitting, that they're putting into play, are not as good quality as the other guys. But a lot of promise on the top end. And then the next one, OBP, on base percentage, you can see Yorke and Mayer with 419 and 414 respectively, which also their walks, their plate discipline contributes to that. And Bleis, once again, not great. Cedanne Rafaela, not great. That's high strikeout numbers from them. It's not working walks. It's bad plate discipline, but it's still, a lot of the guys, they're still promising. And then moving down to WOBA, which is your weighted on base percentage average. And you can see that Mayer and Romero, two similar guys, once again leading it. Another promising hitting stat for both of them that can get on base. And once again, Paulino and Rafaela, two great defensive guys, are struggling to get generate the same quality of hitting while they're up to the plate, but not the worst thing. Still impressed by Yorke and Valdez, in AA and MLB respectively. And then moving down to WRC plus, weighted runs created plus. I value runs created because that's how you win baseball games. It's simple as that. You can see Yorke and Mayer, it is scaled out of 100, as I mentioned earlier. So 160, 161, very similar, but very, very good numbers right there. Where, once again, Bleis and Rafaela are tied with 81. And then Paulino's worst was 71, not great. Roman Anthony falls right in the middle with Romero, still looking very good. And then going down to K percentage, Valdez, amazing K percentage, putting the ball into play, that's what you want to see. Paulino with a surprisingly good K percentage. He puts the ball into play, a lot of ground outs for him, a lot of infield hits, but that's the way she goes sometimes. And then Bleis and Rafaela with the higher percentages because they're aggressive swings, they're swinging for the fences, and for guys that are defensive superstars, there's nothing too wrong with that. And then the next page will be showing the breakdown of these stats. And now this summarizes my findings through the stats I picked. And I made my own stat Cobra I stole that from G.I. Joe. I like that little G.I. Joe logo. But Cobra, Connor's on base runs average. I had to make that work. It's corny, but that's the way she goes. It values putting the ball in play, getting on base, and scoring runs, which I think is the future of the MLB, and the way these prospects can work their way up and stay with the Red Sox in the majors. And you can see at the bottom, batting average balls in play plus OBP plus WOBA averages out their three stats, divide them by 3 to find an average for those. And then their K percentage divided by 1,000 and WRC plus divided by 1,000 because those are both out of 100. And then you're subtracting the K percentage that obviously values good K percentages and adding WRC plus because you value a good weighted runs created. And that number accumulates to Cobra, which I thought looked cool, so I'm proud of it. But you can see the Cobra numbers right up there. And once again, Romero and Mayer, the two shortstops, take it by quite a bit. Although Nick Yorke is very, very close. All credit to him. But so in my opinion, I think Mayer set up hitting-wise. This is all hitting. Also, but hitting-wise, Mayer and Romero are set up the best for the majors. Valdez is around average. Roman Anthony is a little below. And then Rafaela, Paulino, and Bleis once again dip below. Partly because they can't get on base as well. They can't score runs as well. But their defense will definitely help them. But I think Cobra is a good way to use stats to find the potential of these prospects when there's no other way to actually do it. And so you can use these stats, the formulas down there. I will be using these in the future. I think it's a good way to rank players, see the future they have for the Red Sox in the majors. And now what you've been waiting for is the final rankings of the 10 prospects. And this values the Cobra ranking, but obviously it is my stat. It's not end all be all. And I did include AI rankings. As I was doing it, AI blew up, and I wanted to see myself how the AI would value the prospects. So mine are on the left, and you can see Mayer and Romero. They swept the Cobra rankings. They swept all the hitting stats. I think their hitting, along with their average to above average defense, will set them up the best for the MLB and the Red Sox. And then Rafaela, his utility, versatility, and his defense definitely pushed him up where his hitting lacked, but he's so explosive. If he can find a way to make contact and get on base, he'll be just fine. And then our first pitcher, Brandon Walter. I think his age is a deterrent, but he's so close to the majors already. He could be up very, very soon. Once again, fingers crossed, they send Brazier down, send him to the moon, call Walter up. I'm praying for the day. And then right below that, Nick Yorke, who's I did have low originally with his lowing numbers, but as he got better, he moved up, climbed the rankings. And Bleis did move down for me, as his hitting was just not great. And guys like Rafaela, who are just as athletic, Bleis has no weaknesses to his game, but I hope he can improve on everything slightly. He's only above average in almost everywhere. And then moving down, Valdez finds himself at 7, even though he's on the major league team. I hope he can stay. I hope he can be that glue guy that we need. But with injuries, Story's coming back. Arroyo's going to come back. Kike will be back when the outfielders are back. So it'll be interesting to see if he can stay up. But I hope he can improve that hitting, because it's already been amazing, and really improve that defense to help himself find a spot in the majors. And then down at number 8, I have Bryan Mata. I think his injuries and his bad numbers contribute to why he's so low for me. I wish he had better numbers. He is only 23, so I'm not too worried, but I'm not too hopeful for him with how bad his numbers are year after year. I know he's young. And then last place is Paulino. He had the worst Cobra. He had the worst hitting stats. He's good defensively. He's athletic, but lacking power, lacking contact, lacking offensive attributes all around. And then over there, you can see slight changes. The AI had a pretty similar list. They had Mayer 1, Nick Yorke 2, and Mata 3, which I found interesting that Mata and Walter were both that high up. And then Valdez down at 7. Rafaela all the way down to 8. And I did ask, as a clarifier, I used the AI, and I asked them to rank off getting on base, scoring runs, and putting the ball in play, the same variables that I was using. And this is how it ranked them. So Rafaela, Paulino, and Anthony are all at the bottom of their list, similar to mine besides Rafaela, because the AI did not value their hitting stats, and they're not very good, frankly. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and enjoyed my stats. Comment down below if you did not enjoy my stats, if you have any questions. I'd love to talk to you guys if you have anything to say. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below what you want to see in the future of the channel, or what you didn't like in the current times of the channel. So thanks for watching.